Um, if you smoke, go ahead and roll up. If not, you good. We chilling. We in here. I know what. Shout out to our star seeds. All right. I want to start off also by sending the deepest of insight to the elders in the university, 65 and older. Of course, can't never forget them. Sending my deepest of insight to all my peers, those in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s in the university. Appreciate y'all for coming back for another cosmic download. You know, and to get to me, y'all, get to me how we have to go through this. You know, it gets to me. You know, going through it, and you know, just seeing it for what it is, like, and a lot of individuals when they awaken and they go through them same pains, them same troubles. When you seeing, you remembering who you are. So you looking at the world through a different lens. You know, and it's like, you know, once one lie tumble, they all come rolling down. So that's why it's like it's back to back to back. Today we're gonna talk about this map and the truth about the Egyptians. And I ain't even look. I literally went to Google. Hold on, where is that? And it's just like a bunch of questions they got. And I'm like, okay, we gonna read their questions. And I'm gonna tell you what they saying, and then I'm gonna tell you the truth. You feel me? And definitely shout out to the blue crystal babies in here, sending y'all the deepest of insight too. I ain't forget about y'all. At all. Neither. I know y'all in here with y'all parents and some of y'all teenagers, so y'all watching it on your own and y'all spreading information. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the hood too. Free the guys locked up. You feel me? In them legal plantations. Them legal plantations. All right, but so we talking about an ancient civilization reflection, or so we think when we talking about the Egyptians. And what I want you to know before we even go into these smoothy ass questions they have on Google when you put in Egyptians. The Egyptians were never. This might blow y'all mind though, okay? But the Egyptians were not a group of beings that existed. What they say? How many years ago? 3,000 BCE? I think that's what it is. Right. If you look up, when did the Egyptian Empire start? I'm on Google. Smoogle. You know what I'm saying? When did the Egyptian Empire start and end? Right? It's going to say the dynastic period started with the reign of Egypt's first king in 3100 BCE. And it ended with the death of Cleopatra, which I'm doing a lecture on her, in 30 BCE. Now, the BC stands before Christ, right? So we know Christ, we know Jesus. Christ ain't real. The story is though, y'all. The story is though, but he wasn't down here. You get what I'm saying? So remembering that, now let's apply that to the whole BCE theory. Okay? Because these motherfuckers I told you when they came and landed on our planet, y'all, they used mechanisms. And then they created this time spell and used certain mechanisms to loop and jump back in time, took pictures. So they came up with all these pictures to bag up the fact that they've been here as long as us. These motherfuckers just got here. Okay? So that whole 3100 BC before Christ, it was never a Christ. So let's remove that. Let's get around that. Let's put that behind us now. Okay? So miss us with the BCE shit. Now let me break it down to you. When they say 3100 BCE, they want to play with the original 13 bloodlines. They like to play with the numbers, right? So that's all that 31 mean. Reverse it is 13. Drop the zeros. Stand for original 13 bloodlines. Okay? far as them ending 30 BCE, once again, they want to play with the threes, right? The threes, and just give you a ending date of the Egyptians. But the Egyptians, this time of 3100 BCE, that make you think like this shit was thousands and thousands and thousands. The Egyptians was here thousands and hundreds of thousands of years ago. That's what they want you to think out there. But that's a fucking lie. Okay? The time period of the Egyptians, man, was the same time period of the rest of the tribes. Egypt, the Egyptians were a tribe. This is the real truth about the Egyptians. The Egyptians were a tribe in what they call North America today. And we on the website, so y'all can get it first. But we talking about something close to this Sunday, and then next Sunday definitely, right? Because it kind of plays hand in hand. But the Egyptians were a tribe. Okay? So when you're talking about the same period of all your native tribes, right, that they want you to believe, when they're talking about the Cherokee, right, the Choctaw, the Seminoles, Seneca, Powhatans, right, the Sioux, the Navajo, Apache, Californians, Illinois Confederacy, hell, the Incas, Mayans, you had the Egyptians. In fact, Egypt is right here in North America. Let's get even deeper. Yeah. I don't think you heard me. And if you did hear me, I just said what you thought you heard me say. You ain't high right now. The Egyptians was a tribe. And they were a tribe that was right here in what they call present-day North America. In fact, Egypt of ancient Egypt is right here in North America. Not the Egypt you see today. That Egypt is located in South Africa. In North America is North Africa. I'll repeat that. Present day North America, with that which you know, you got Chicago, Detroit, LA, New York, Atlanta, Miami, Houston, Dallas, New Orleans, and on and on and on. Phoenix, Albuquerque, Dallas. Well, I already said Dallas and Houston, but yeah, you know, and many more cities, right? These were all title stone out there to throw you off, even the way they drew the map. Because they had to hide your history from you. The Egyptians were a tribe, man. This is why they can still find mummies of them today. If Egypt was as old as they got you thinking, you wouldn't see the mummifications. The mummifications do last for a certain extent, but not as long as they're trying to get you to believe, right, to hide from you. And the Egyptians, right, were on the 13th. Now let's talk metaphysics. The Egyptians were, at the time period of the Egyptians, the planet was on the 13th dimension. Between 13th, 14th, 13th, and 16th. So that's why we were bigger then. Go look up Osiris. He was green. Yeah, our skin was some colors back then. They hadn't the oxygen. They hadn't oxygenized the whole goddamn planet yet. That's why these statues. Go look up any statues about Egypt, ancient Egypt. You gonna see how big they was. That's how big we really were at that time. And everything was crystallized. So when you talking about Egypt, think about all those, the Egypt. Okay, so the ancient Egypt they show you when you think of Egypt, when we think of Egypt, that's the way the Egypt over here looked. All right, and the Egypt over here would have been around present day like Illinois, Ohio, Indianapolis, up and through there. All right, and I'm gonna tell you why. The Mississippi River, which runs through, got the map pulled up, right? But the Mississippi River is the only hint to really help you understand that North America is really North Africa. Of the land that they call Africa is right here. So North America is North Africa. And what they call in South America and Central America, all of that is really South Africa. You get deep. So if you look at a map of the Nile River, and then you look at a map of the Mississippi River in North America, you're going to notice parallels. You're going to notice that segment of North America, which would be Indianapolis, let's see, the states like Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, down to Mississippi, which is where the Mississippi River runs. You'll notice that Memphis, Tennessee sits right next to the Mississippi River. And then if you go look at a map of the Nile River, you'll notice that back then on ancient maps, it showed the Nile. And the city that sat right next to the Nile was called Memphis. Okay? I'll repeat that again. If you look at the Mississippi River, and the way it runs through Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, and down to Mississippi, you will notice, I'm pointing out something big for you to notice. You'll notice more similarities than that if you will look at the actual map. Memphis, Tennessee sits right off the Mississippi River in any map of North America. Now, hit Google, look up the Nile River and the old maps around the Nile River, and they're going to show you an ancient city that was around the time of the Egyptians called Memphis, and it's set right off the Nile River. Okay? So, the Nile River is really the Mississippi River, and it runs from North Africa, which they told us is Wisconsin, Illinois. That's the top. So Illinois. So the Mississippi River runs from Illinois all the way down through Louisiana, all the way down through South Africa, where then they call it the Nile. It becomes the Nile River. Get it? Just like in certain cities, might have Western Street, and it runs so far, but after it gets so far on the west side of the city, the name of the street might change from Weston to Narragansett. You see what I'm saying? So on the north side, because we got cities like that in Chicago, streets like that in Chicago, where okay, all the way from this street to this far is Ashland, but then when you get right here, it changes to Jones or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like so far north, it changes. So it's all about longitude and latitude and them hiding the truth about the Egyptians from you. Okay? The Egyptians were around ancient Egypt, right? Was around the states of Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Missouri, all up through there. Right? They had some of their biggest symbolisms. And this was Egypt. This was Egypt. The Egypt they showing you today, where the pyramids at, that's not the real Egypt. That's not ancient Egypt. That's new land that they named Egypt to throw us off on the map. Ancient Egypt, the original Egypt from the history books, the Greek mythology, and the right here. We're not separated by no water. Because remember, the map's so fucked up that it shows you Africa on the other side of the ocean. So you're like, hold on, Egypt is in Africa, and Africa is located across the ocean. No, it's not. Look at Africa. It's shaped just like North America. Look at the map with a closer eye. Look at a map of Africa. Then look at North America. And I'm finna get the puzzle pieces put together. I'm gonna go ahead and get the video made. Feel me? So y'all can see what I'm trying to tell y'all. But if you look at If you look at a map, right, of North America, and Africa, you see this top part? See this top part? This is the United States. Right here. This is the United States. Now, look at the top part of Africa. Look at the top part of Africa. You see where that line at that represents the equator? See this line? Just look at that part, and then look at that. Look at this part down here of South America. Look down here at Africa. All they did was simply, this would be, let me show you Africa, the way Africa's shaped, right? This would be North America. This is not it. Where Kenya at, that's Florida. This bottom half is South America. Where they telling you South America is at? South America. All these countries, Brazil, Peru, that's all on this land right here. Because this is North Africa. Then you got the landmass, and then this is South Africa. All this land in between, where they saying is Mexico, Guatemala, Nicaragua, all of that is where Bolivia, Brazil, Paraguay, all this little, where all them lands, all that is right here in what they call in Mexico, Guatemala, and Central America. So all of South America is not as big as they showing you. It's all can fit right here in this stretch of land between what they saying is the United States, Mexico, and South America. Really, this North Africa, that stretch of land in between North Africa and South Africa that they kind of show you right there. They show you that same little stretch of land kind of right there. Connecting Canada. All up in here where they showing you is France and Italy. All of that would be where Canada is at. And on and on and on. You feel me? I'm working on literally getting the actual map made that I'm showing y'all. But you can see what I'm showing you just in that. If you really paying attention. See? See that? Now look at that. The Nile is up here. You see where Egypt is at? That would be Egypt, and they saying this is where the Nile is at. You see it? And where would the Nile be over here? Where would Mississippi be? Right here between, well, look at that little water. And look at that. Then they added this on here, but then they showing you the Caribbean and all them little islands. So what you got to understand is this. What you got to understand is they lying. The Egyptians did not exist 3,000 years ago. They are not some distant time. They are one of the tribes, and they were in full swing at the same time the Cherokee was in full swing and other tribes. And that's what they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that the Egyptians was around at the same time the Cherokee and all them was around. They got you thinking that, okay, we was in slavery, and then before slavery, it was the Indians, which we are not, right? That's what they teach us. And then they say, now on the other side of the ocean, you had Africans. And that was all going on at the same time. But then there was a time before the Africans and the Indians, and it was the Egyptians. And that's all they talk about. They talk about the Egyptians and really nobody else in that time period until they mention the Hebrew Israelites. So it's like, and they say the Hebrew Israelites was working for them. Right? That's what they teach you. So where the fuck was all these Indian tribes at? Where was they at? You say the natives been here forever too in North America. That's what they will tell you that much. Okay. So where the fuck was they at during the time of the Egyptians? Where was the Native Americans at? I'm trying to get these are questions y'all need to be asking. Where was the Native Americans at? Because if we go read about the Egyptians, they act like they weren't even on the planet at the same time. They got you thinking like them as different eras. Because they say the Egyptians was way, way back. When in actuality, the Egyptians was one of the more advanced tribes that we had amongst the tribes. Each tribe was advanced, but you had the Egyptians that was even a little more advanced. And these Egyptians was spread out all through what they call in present day the United States. Spread out all through there. Because before everybody broke into different tribes, they were Mississippians. Right? And the Mississippians was a tribe that was scattered around the whole landmass. The Mississippians had northern Mississippi, you had western Mississippians. They covered the whole West. And I'm telling y'all this on the website first because I'm gonna get this same lecture a little kind of in a way on YouTube, but when I go into the Mississippians. But the Mississippians, you had Mississippians in the north, you had Mississippians to the east, you had Mississippians to the south and the west. That's how they labeled the Mississippian tribe. And from the Mississippians, as the war continued to roll out, from Mississippians, you got Californians and Navajo and Apache and Sioux and all these other tribes, right? So you know like your main ones, you know what I'm saying, like your Cherokee, you did this, and then from that you got smaller tribes. So you get all these different tribes, right? Because we were falling in frequency and being weakened. So it led to more confusion amongst us. If you could understand that all tribes did was confuse us. We wasn't always tribal. In our original state, we were independent souls moving as one conglomerate, thinking as one body, individual cells thinking as one whole body. The same way your cells do in your body, how it's composed of all these different electrons and all these other different organisms, but it moves and works as one body. That's the way your cells working within you. So we move like cells in a way. originally. You know what I'm saying? We was independent forces, but we all thought as one, worked as one, because we was all on the same frequency. It was the true peace reflection vibration, which I teach because that's the vibration we was always on. It was reflection, literally complete reflection of each other. We understood that. So we praised each other and we loved on each other, knowing that it was loving on ourselves. Right? It's an ancient way of thinking that we had because we was on a totally different vibration. But as we was in this war with these oppressors that's still here to this day, as we was warring with them, y'all, we began to become more and more confused as we continued to fall in frequency. And the confusion led to us starting tribes. So you got to understand how we became even tribal because of all the confusion. You know, all the confusion that was being conjured up because we lost our vibration. You know, when they moved our second sun out of our galaxy, when they pushed it back, and when they blew up the towers, really, when they blew up these ancient towers that was made of these different crystal structures, and you can still find bits and pieces of these crystals today scattered in the ground. That's where they all come from. You know, they come from the explosions that was taking place upon them. You know, then you got some individuals that'll find them explosions and they'll take them in, and you know they'll mold them and shape them the stuff like this. But if not, they'll be in that raw form like that big one I got over there. You know, they'll be in that raw form like that, and you'll find them all over the ground because we really had these structures, right? So it's like an artifact they can't hide. It's just like rocks, right? Like a lot of people don't know that the rocks used to be mushrooms. All the rocks used to be giant mushrooms or crystals. Like some of the rocks completely were crystals that became fossilized from all the oxygen that's all the air or fake air, which would be synthetic air, which would be oxygen, right? Because we got natural air and then you have oxygen, right? So like we don't have oxygen. But that be pure air we breathing, and we full of hydrogen. So the synthetic air is the oxygen, and you know the oxygen is what causes us to rust out. So as they continue to spread oxygen through our planet, a lot of your crystals that if they didn't become like in a pre-fossilized state, which would be where you get the hard exterior of the what we call a rock from. When you look at the big crystals like the one I have over there, it has the big, you could see the rock form on the back, and then the crystal was in the inside like almost like a fruit, right? Like you got the hard part, the peel, then you got the fruit in the inside. So some crystals retain their strength and brilliancy, so we still see them today. But our crystals was even more beautiful than the ones we got today. They was at even a more high vibrational state, like illuminating, like they will illuminate, like you understand, they will illuminate. So a lot of these rocks that you see on the ground when you walking past and you see rocks you just kicking, they can't hide the truth. All these rocks are debris from ancient trees or giant mushrooms that we had on the planet, or crystals that because too much oxygen hit it, it just fully got the carcass around it. But a lot of them rocks, if you was to take them and was able to take your time and chip away at them, which they know you most of us ain't gonna do, especially the little pebble ones. If you was to take your time and chip away at it the same way excavators do at the ground, you're gonna discover a crystal within it. Like you're gonna really see like, oh shit, damn. Or if you keep chipping at it and it's not a crystal within it, then you can see more of the residue from the plant base, from it being plant based. It's just we don't look these things up. We don't look into these things, and they do everything to keep us away from looking into these things. So you got that combination going for us not to know these things. But I'm saying all that to say that all goes hand in hand with us believing that ancient Egypt was a civilization that was millennia away. You looking at the Egyptians, it was just another tribe. And it was actually before Mississippians, it was the Egyptians, right? These are the names they was giving us. So like we was the Egyptians, and the Egyptians was all of what you want to consider all of us, from North Africa down to South Africa, down to our brothers and sisters in what they call Asia. This is all connected. Remember I told you it's one landmass. Ain't no land to like, okay, they got us believing that we in the United States, and then to the east of us is land. So you got Africa and you got Europe and all that to our east. And to the west of us, you got like Asia. You're eventually going across the Pacific Ocean. The first thing you should hit is Asia. All right, that's what they teach us. The first thing you should hit is Asia. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, there is no land to the east of us or the west of us. We are the landmass that we own, and you got the north of the landmass and you got south of the landmass, and we all on this one landmass just at different points. And to the east of us is nothing but water, and to the right of us is nothing but water. We are on one landmass surrounded by water, and then that water is surrounded by an ice ring. And that's the way we are shaped. And this landmass we own is Atlantis, but it was connected to a more bigger continent that was broken up by these three ice rings. So the landmass we own is like one continent that's a part of more continents, and all those continents was one that formed the original landmass. So this is what they did to us. This is how bad they did us. Like, they came and broke up the land with these ice rings. So we all on different parts. You got then the landmass that was broken up got pushed away by water. So you got all these different continents of the land, the original ancient land, spread out. And then you got us on Atlantis, which is what's on the capital part, which is in the middle. We dead in the middle, right? And this is one landmass we own, just surrounded by water. You know what I'm saying? Imagine land, a pool of water around it with an ice ring around that. That's how we is, right? And the trick us from that, they drew these maps and they showed us these maps and showed like to make us seem like the land is divided. They show, oh, this is on this side of the water, that's on that side of the water. You got to go here. So it make us throw us completely off from how we even set up and where we is. And then when you get on planes, they'll fly your ass around the water, knowing that you ain't gonna see shit but water and clouds. So you can't pull out your compass. You can't pull out. They make you put your phone in airplane mode, which you should never. You should ask, why I gotta put my shit in airplane mode? Oh, you're gonna make the plane crash. So the cell phone got that much motherfucking power. Then why we just can't turn our phones off airplane mode when all these planes flying around us and just be out here with our phones all day? A bunch of motherfuckers just stand outside and hold the phones up like this. Come on, man. All the planes flying should start crashing. If it got that much power, there ain't no way when you get on the plane, I cut my phone on, and now that's going to affect the electricity of the plane to make the plane crash out and wipe out. And people really believe that shit. Like, they ain't got nothing to do with that. They don't want your shit on because they don't want you using no form of compensation, no form of compass to try to dictate where you east, west, or north. And then they still lied. They told us, really, for example, they even lied about east and west and north and south. You get what I'm saying? Like, they got us thinking that the sun rises in the east when the sun rises in the west. They taught us that the sun sets in the west, though. So if you in America, you like, okay, well, the sun gonna always rise over in New York first, in Philadelphia and Baltimore. They'll see the sun first, and then shit, it'll move over the country, and everybody else will start seeing it. And then eventually it gets to the west and it sets in Cali. You know what I'm saying? It sets. Shout out to the university too. I see 8,600 live viewers. But yeah, it sets. The sun never even goes down. The sun is traveling and rotating around the landmass. It's a huge orb that we created. So it's rotating around the landmass. That's where the clock comes from. You see the hands on the clock? It represents the sun traveling around in a circular motion around the landmass. So when the sun like is setting, it's really not setting. It's just going, it's traveling further down the landmass. That's all it's doing. And we had two. So at one point, we never even really had complete darkness anymore on the planet once we had them two suns that we used to power up the planet, that we was using to power up the planet. We didn't have, so it was like two huge generators. You know what I'm saying? Imagine it, just two huge generators, but more powerful celestial generators. You feel me? That's what the suns was used to do. And that's what that sun is still used to do. It's like the generator. It's like it powers everything up. You know what I'm saying? If you really think about what the sun does, it just gives life to everything. It powers everything up. So that was the ancient way we had the sun set up. And because we don't know the truth about the pattern of the sun, we know the truth. We can't say we don't know the truth because we know. But our souls had been bleached with these programming centers. So that's the truth. That's the reason they make you go to school and send your kids to school, because they have to reprogram your soul. It's a form of bleaching because your soul know the truth. They couldn't just let you come on the planet and then you just grow up, because you gonna know. So they have to force their agenda down your mind, quick, young, recondition, reprogram you because of this fact. So you gotta know that the way that they set up these timelines, the shape of the map, all of that is put there to make you, have no clue about what you are and the way everything transpired. Literally, like, we was Anunnaki gods, who they then started calling Atlanteans as we started to fall in frequency. From Atlanteans, the next greatest civilization that we had was, and we were still in a fallen state, is ancient Kemet. Ancient Kemet and Egypt is the same thing. So when you talk about Egypt, you talk about Kemet. You talk about Kemet was a more higher state of Egypt, and then it continued to fall. And then they named us the Egyptians. Okay, we was Egyptians, and then we steady war with them, and we continued to fall. I mean, even if you look up, for example, let me go on here. When you talk about ancient Egypt, it say, how long did the Egyptian empire last? For almost 30 centuries. From its unification around 3100 BC to its conquest by Alexander the Great in 332 BC. All right. Ancient Egypt was the preeminent civilization in the Mediterranean world. Right. So you got to be able to read and decode that. Okay. So Alexander the Great, right? He rode around and he conquered the whole known world. Alexander the Great, right? But Alexander the Great is the same one that destroyed the Amazons and the Amazonian warriors, right? That they say was in South America, right? Okay, so you mean to tell me that he ended the Amazonian warriors and the Egyptians, right? Conquered all them. Who you think Alexander the Great worked for? Who was he working for? Right? Rome, Greece, right? These hierarchy human beings, these Pleiadians, right? That was all a part of them same wars. Okay, and we was warring with them then. All right. So then they had certain advantages because of the Moors that they still had under spells at the time that was helping them. So when we was in the state of Egypt, you could still see these pyramids all over the Midwest and all over North America to this day. We had pyramids all over. That's why it's pyramids in every state right now. Right, because this was where North America, you know what I'm saying, was ancient Egypt. You get what I'm saying? So we was the Egyptians after we continued to fall, that because the Atlantean civilization, when we was in the Atlantean state, that's why I don't want to say civilization, because civilization makes you not understand what the fuck happened. No, it was no civilization, nigga. We fell in frequency, so the civilizations represents a frequency that we was on. Like when you said Anunnaki pure God was the highest frequency, then we dropped down. Then we became Atlanteans, right? And the Atlantean state, we was still on a level. Then we fell down. Kemet, at that Kemet state, we was still at a different level. He fell down Egyptian. At the Egyptian state, we was still, look what they show you the Egyptians did, right? From Egyptians, boom, what we became. Mississippians, right? Why? Because the Mississippians knew how to work the Mississippi River, right? They said they was good with the land. They was good with tilling it. They were very mystical, and they said they were in tune with certain spiritual worlds and stuff that they knew that existed along the Mississippi River, that they knew how to tap into and everything. They were a very dominant tribe, the Mississippians, right? So, and they were everywhere, and I'm talking about that in my lecture, but they were everywhere, right? So from Mississippians, we go from Mississippians, we fall to a lower state, and then we become Cherokee, Choctaw, Redfoot, Illinois Confederacy, this, that. Then from that state, from the native state, we become black Indians and Negroes and colored folks. Y'all see what I'm trying to show you? And even in that state, we was at a high vibration. And then we dropped all the way down to what we had became. We were just some niggas. Some African Americans at the best. You feel me? That's what I'm trying to get you to see. That's how it went. Like the Egyptians wasn't no motherfucking way back millions of years ago. No, they was an actual tribe, not just an era, not some civilization. They was a civilization. No, they were a tribe. That was still a tribal thing that was going on. And in North America, it was ancient Egypt. And then after it went from Egyptians and it started falling to more tribal, it was just North Africa. Right after Scipio Africanus did his conquering, then it became just North Africa and South Africa. And then when they seen that they was gonna have to use more spells to confine our mind, right? Then they renamed the Indian territory and they started calling us Indians. And then it became Choctaw land and Choctaw land and this land and that land. Because you gotta remember, all them fucking names, Cherokee and this and that, they gave us them names too. Them ain't our ancient names. Them ain't our ancient names. So we can now say the tribes to just have an idea, some idea of us. But them ain't our ancient names neither. Remember that. That's what they was naming us. Okay? But those Cherokee and all those are all like powerful spiritual names because it's a lot of power in a name. The only names that don't have power is the names that's spoken in English. You better off going to what they call an Arabic name than an English name. Even the Arabic name is going to have power, like a spiritual backing behind them because of the vibration that we was using when we speak, when we created these things, as opposed to the English language. You get what I'm saying? So these were all titles given to us that represents when we were on different vibrations at different moments in the fall. Remember, we fell from our highest frequency after they hacked our technology. And they wouldn't have been able to do it without the Moors. The Moors helped them get a lot of bullshit done to us. That's a fact. So, you know, this is the truth about the Egyptians. Like, and after the Egyptians, they were Mississippians. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we was Mississippians, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and then the Mississippians was everywhere. It wasn't like no just one state. It was the whole fucking country too. Right? So it's like, you can see that all they did was rename us as we continued to fall further and further in frequency to get us from that God state. You see what I'm saying? To get us from that God state. And that's why they were so good at doing what they do to us to this day, because it's been going on since they got here. But the Egyptians was, yeah, that's a tribe. They were a tribe, and that was a frequency we was on. You know what I'm saying? And even when they showing you the pyramids and what they consider Egypt today, that's not even Egypt. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? That's that would be where South Africa is at. And them pyramids is there. But guess what? We had built pyramids everywhere, nigga. So it wasn't hard for them to just pick a set of pyramids and say, hey, this is South Africa, or this is Egypt over here. This is Egypt because it's pyramids here. Nigga, it was pyramids everywhere. It's still pyramids everywhere. It's pyramids in play out in every fucking state. Listen, North America has way more land to it than they even showing you on the map. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, even the land they show you on the map of North America, way bigger than that. Way bigger than that. And they got this bitch sold up to the point where they're like, you can't go here, don't go there. They keep us riding on roads and highways and in cities. You thinking, oh, because, okay, I live in the city. Okay, then this must be all there is to the land. No, the most beautiful parts of the land, they don't even let us go on. It's still parts of the land that's so electrical, that's so ancient that if we just walked in it, we'll completely go back into that ship. And they don't let us go on that. They got signs planted up maybe 100 miles away. They ain't even gonna let you get close to it. You get within 50 miles of the motherfucker, they got signs up, government property. Don't go down this road. You ain't pay attention to all the little side roads, and if you keep riding down to them, you're gonna notice you're gonna always, if you don't run into if you gonna run into a bunch of random houses, right? You might see that. But when you hit them side roads and you just keep riding them, you gonna start running into government property. Don't be back here. It's even like that in Atlanta. Like when I go to parks down here, right? I go to parks down here, and as we walk so deep in the park, eventually eventually it'll get to a point like no lie. It was just like that this summer, right? We went to the park. And we just started walking, right? Now this park, Atlanta got a lot of parks. This park big as fuck. Like, it's super big. Like, they tell you, like, man, they don't even know where it leads to. Let them tell it, right? But we walking. And me, my wife, and the kids, we walking. As we walking, we go off the trail. We hit a side trail. We walking. We walking. All of a sudden, signs just start popping up like, private property, government property, don't go this way. Facts. Violators will be executed, like, not prosecuted. Them signs start saying violators will be executed, nigga. You hear me? And I'm like, I think it was like, all I'm thinking is like, what the fuck y'all got going on that y'all don't want a nigga to even hike back here? They can't even walk through. Like, what y'all got? You know what I'm saying? Keep in mind, this starts off as an open park, but you can get so deep. You get so deep in the park, and then we got so deep in the park, and we just hit off on a distant trail, and we start running to them type of signs. And we deep as fuck. We deep as hell in the park. Like, we deep in the park. All right. I'm like, look. We're gonna go ahead and turn around, cause I don't know what they got ahead for ours, you feel me? They already back here, so they got the advantage, you feel me? We turned around. But I said it to say, this is why they are able to hide so much stuff about the land from us. Because we don't think about that. And most of us won't even go do things like that to even see. But yes, you can see that we are literally confined into a little bit of space on this land that they call North America anyway. That's the purpose of entertainment. Man. Sports, movies, all that's just designed to keep you from asking questions and thinking for yourself. Facts. Because you have too much time on your hand. And then now, you will actually go there. Like, it's not like we can't go there. You can go to any state, and you will see it. All this land, but nothing on it. Like, what the hell going on? Why is all this land ain't nothing on it? Like, you would think by now, if they conquered everything, why the fuck? What would make them stop building on these? Why would they cut these trees down but not these trees down? Miss me with that, we're trying to preserve the forest shit. If you was trying to preserve the forest, y'all would have never came here hacking shit down in the first place. Let him with eyes see clearly. Oh, okay. There's some Wakanda shit going on. We got a lot of that going on. It's a lot of tribes just living amongst you in plain sight. You know what I'm saying? You have to understand the way the war went. It caused so much confusion amongst us, continuing to fall like that in frequency while trying to stay united. Like, black people today be like, oh, black people ain't shit. Like, right? Not knowing how far they made us fall. Like, you looking at the end of the war when they got us to the state of actually killing ourselves, and it took them a long time to do that. Man, we never killed ourselves, nigga. We never killed ourselves. We wasn't killing ourselves. We never killed ourselves. That's another lie they got you to believe. We never killed ourselves, man. We never killed ourselves, man. You don't hear me. Nigga, cause we never killed ourselves. We knew who we was. What I'm gonna kill myself for? Kill you, I kill myself. Like, we understood that to the T. We never killed ourselves. They got us all the way to kill our motherfucking selves, nigga. We was killing them. Nigga, we was killing them. And if it wasn't them, it was nothing. We had no reason to get violent. We was never a violent species. We were always an intelligent group of luminous beings, man. What we had to get violent for when we blessed with intelligence, when we the creators of the cosmos. Everything was made in harmony. Like, so what we want to give, we had no need, of violence. Violence is something that's not even in our essence. All that comes from Zeus and Satan and his frequencies that he instilled in them. And then they came with the violence, and we got on defense mode, on self-defense, defending ourselves. And it's been war ever since. That's how that went. There was never no wars until they brought the first initial war, and it's a war that continues to this day. We've been on defense. We've been on defense. It was never any wars. You know what I'm saying? We wasn't warring with nobody, and we definitely wasn't warring with ourselves until the war came with them. You feel me? Look at this. Is Egypt the longest lasting civilization? Ancient Egypt was one of the oldest and longest lasting world civilizations. It was located along the Nile River in the northeast part of Africa and lasted for over 3,000 years. See, that's why they can't hide that now. They always going to tell you Egypt was located along the Nile River. All right? They always try to tell you that. Because when you look at the map, they have to acknowledge the Nile River, which it really is. And to be honest with you, it was the Mississippi River before they renamed it the Nile. Because you got to remember, after it was Egyptians, then Mississippi, and so once it went to a Mississippian state, it became the Mississippi River. All right, because it was literally concocted by the Mississippians when we was the Mississippian state. It was created, that Mississippi River, right? That was made by us for a way of transporting certain things we was doing with each other, right? A way of communicating with each other, a way of making a stream for the water to flow so that we could communicate with the water spirits and try to still get things done. We was in tune with nature just on that level. So they can't hide that, so they going to always mention the Nile River, but it was really the Mississippi River. And then they renamed the other half of it to the Nile. See what I'm saying? And then they show you nowadays the Nile River flowing through Africa to throw you off. That's how long that river is. And if you know anything about the Nile River, it's one of the longest rivers in the world. And you know anything about the Mississippi, is one of the longest rivers in the world. Let him who has eyes see clearly. You feel me? Egyptians was not a time. The Egyptians was a tribe. You feel me? A tribe right here in North America. Because North America was Egypt. And it wasn't just along the Nile. It was the whole, they called the whole landmass of present-day North America. All that was what they called us Egyptians in that state. Even when you see the crowns with the pharaoh, they got you thinking that it was only male pharaohs. It was goddesses that was pharaohs too. And becoming a pharaoh wasn't just something that you can attain if your father was the pharaoh or your mom. It didn't work like that. The pharaohs served as the mediums between the gods that was down here in the higher, more advanced spiritual deities and spiritual entities. So they was like a medium of such, you know what I'm saying? And the pharaohs, and to become a pharaoh, you had to be very in tune with yourself. Your kundalini had to rise you all the way to the top. You had to master all the chakras. And when you did that, that's what the serpent stood for, that they wore on their crowns. And then they had the cape on the crown that represent the snake cape, with the snake used to be hanging at the top. Then they had the long bill representing the electrical coils and oneness with self. You get what I'm saying? They had the and all that. Yeah, that they had that because that's all spiritual. That's all metaphysical. So to become a pharaoh was to become like a grand master of information and magic. And once you reach that type of state, you was deemed a pharaoh. It ain't had nothing to do with no motherfucking. They made it seem like only certain people was pharaohs or was special pharaohs. They lying. That ain't how that went. You had goddesses that was pharaohs. You had gods that was pharaohs, and you had a lot of pharaohs. It wasn't just one. It was whoever wanted to go to that state amongst the Egyptians. When we was in the Egyptian state, because even in the Egyptian state, we still wasn't at our highest frequency. We remember we fell into Egyptian state. So you got to understand that. You feel me? Let's wake up. Let's wake up from the lies of thinking Egypt was some distant time and the Egyptians was some ancient civilization. The Egyptians was the tribe of us. You know what I'm saying? And they was around when the other tribes was around. So like I say, when you talking Incas and Mayans, and they want to call us that, when you talking Cherokee and all these tribes formulated the Egyptians. You get what I'm saying? So this is the same amount of time. This is in the same space. You feel me? This is in the same space. When they talk about the Persians and Artaxerxes was the ones that also helped play the role in fighting the Egyptians, right? And what color were the Persians? They were white. They were Spaniards, right? So, and that's the same war that translated down to the Mississippians, that translated down to the native tribes that was fighting these settlers, that translated into the Seminole Wars and the Gullah Wars, and on down to the civil rights movement and the Marcus Garvey. That's all the same people. That's what I'm trying to get you to see. Same people, same war, man. And they know it. You feel me? So it's like the information they gave us in these programming centers was designed to completely throw you from that. That's powerful to be like, hold on. The Egyptians wasn't an ancient civilization. They were just a tribe, just like a native tribe was when they was tribes. Exactly, tribe. Hold on, what you mean? Hold on, Egypt. So Egypt ain't in Africa? No, it's not in Africa. Egypt is, if you want to call this Africa, you can call it that. But Egypt, the ancient Egypt, was right here in North America. You feel me? Hold on. So hold on. You saying, so is North America Africa? Yeah, if you want to call it that, North America would be North Africa. And where they show you South America at, that would be South Africa. And that landmass of Central America is what Mexico and all of South America is at. You know what I'm saying? Like, they done lied about the map so that they can displace history from you. You know what I'm saying? So you can not know who you are, so you can not know that y'all was doing. That's why I say we weren't no Hebrew Israelites. We was the Egyptians. So in the Hebrew Israelite story, that just represents them feeling like they was enslaved to not only us, but they felt enslaved to us because, remember, Zeus created them. So with Satan and Zeus creating them, he was enslaving them originally. You know what I'm saying? So when he's black, he's a god. He's like us. He looks like us. So they also have an inborn feeling toward that pigmentation. So that whole story, they was enslaved. No, they enslaved to Zeus. They ain't never was enslaved by us. We always treated them right. But in the story of ancient Egypt, they want to paint like the Hebrew Israelites was being mistreated, and they was these Hebrew Israelites. They was living up under us. They was learning from us. That's how they was able to even listen. The people they call Hebrew Israelites, that story represents how they was living amongst us originally, the human beings, before the fall, before they got the Moors to turn against us. So it was like they just took everything and mixed it up and rolled it back out to us in reverse, man. You feel me? Even when you look up how long did the Greek Empire last, it says ancient Greece emerges from its dark ages around 776 BC. Right. So, and it ends with the death of Alexander the Great. Right. So, when you talk about Greece, right, they had dark ages. You know what the dark ages was? When they was in the motherfucking caves, nigga. in the Caucasus and didn't know how to get the fuck out, didn't know where they was at. You feel me? That's the Dark Ages for them. So that's what the Dark Ages was for them. That's what I'm trying to say. The Hebrew Israelites come from Greeks. You see what I'm saying? That ain't nothing but saying the Greeks all over again. And the Greeks is the ancestors of the Romans, right? Because before they was Romans, they was Greeks. So they was the Greeks. And then the ancestors of the Romans would be the Greeks. Then they became Romans. Then from Romans on down, on down, on down, on down. It's the same thing, just different names, titles. All right? So, yeah, that's the truth about Egypt. I'll see y'all tomorrow in class. But the map, you're not where you think you at. You're not where you think you at. And just wording it to you, I want y'all to visualize it. I'm gonna get the map made though, but I gotta pay somebody to draw it for me. But Arizona leads, like there's a portal in Arizona where you can walk through the Grand Canyon and come across this portal. All right. Or I'm not going to say portal because most portals take you to different planets and galaxies. I'll say vortex. Like a vortex in the Grand Canyon. And when you walk through this vortex, it'll literally lead you. You'll go past South America and Mexico and you'll be right in Africa. All right. So once you walk through the Grand Canyon and you walk through this vortex, it'll be like you just walking through the desert and then you'll be in Africa, right? These are little vortexes. We got a lot of them around the planet. But Arizona leads there. That's why they don't want people to walk through the Grand Canyon because, and guess what? All the vortex though is just time warp you a little bit past the central point, which will be Mexico and South America, right into Africa. Because without going through that, you could still walk through Arizona and still get to Africa. But I'm saying that specific point, which we know is the Grand Canyon, it has a vortex hidden there. And that's what the truth about the Grand Canyon. So, but even without going through that vortex, you can walk through Arizona and walk clean. You'll be clean through Africa. You're going to be right in what they call Mexico, which is leading into Africa and on down. Everything connected. That's the truth about the Egyptians, man, and our planet. Peace to the guys and goddesses of Planet Kai. Now we rise. I'll see y'all tomorrow. 1.